Well, I was watching another YouTuber's videos and I realized that I had never put down my impressions of the 9/11 attack, even though it made a great impression on me at the time. And I thought I'd try that today. That day I was running late for work. I remember coming into the PATH station underneath the World Trade Center, and I remember that the Hallmark Christmas store had just opened. And I looked in the window and I saw some things in there that I thought I'd like to buy. And I was going to walk in and take a look around. But like I said, I was running late for work. So I decided, maybe I'll stop in after work. It should still be open. The reason I remember that so well is because if I had stopped and looked around in that store, that's where I would have been when the attack took place. I would have been at ground level inside that store in the World Trade Center when the planes hit. Anyway, I walked out and across the street to the small park that used to be there. Those of you who know the area know there's a little park there with a statue of a man with a business suit on and a attaché case. It's a bronze statue. He's sitting on a park bench. I had just passed this statue when I heard what sounded to me like a missile going over my head. It was a loud whining sound, and it was very, very loud. And I didn't react appropriately for some reason. I don't know, it was something very strange, but it didn't seem to concern me. And after the loud sound going overhead, I remember there was a kind of complete silence. And I remember thinking to myself, that sounds like someone just shot a really big rocket right over my head, and I'm not reacting to that. And just as I thought that, the explosion occurred. I heard the explosion behind me and I felt the shock wave. I turned around to look and I saw thick black smoke coming from the top of the World Trade Center. There was no fire, there was no flames, just a lot of thick smoke coming from the World Trade Center. And at that moment, everybody around me turned around away from the World Trade Center and started running. For some reason, we all started running at the same time. I was about 50 at the time, but I ran as fast as anybody else there. I ran for about a block, and I stopped and turned around. I stopped around where the Chase Manhattan Plaza was, which is the building I worked at that time. I turned around and I saw the smoke coming up, and there was like a wave traveling towards me. And a second later, I was hit with a wave of, it was like tiny pieces of paper that just hit and stung my face and my hands. And like a few seconds later, there were larger pieces of paper that came towards me. I remember I reached up and I picked one of these pages out of the air, and I looked at it. It was some kind of contract. I remember it was on Dean Witter stationery, and it had a pen signature on the bottom of the contract. I wish I had kept that piece of paper. I wish I had just put it in my pocket, but I threw it on the ground and went into the building where I worked. When I got upstairs, everyone was looking out the windows and trying to figure out what the heck had happened, and talking about the big explosion that everybody had just heard. I started brushing the little shreds of paper out of my hair. Everyone was looking out the window, but we were facing in the wrong direction. The windows were looking out on Chase Manhattan Plaza. Now, if you know Manhattan, Chase Manhattan Plaza is that area where they had this big sculpture. It was a white sculpture with like a black outline. It was supposed to be like 4 trees. I have a picture, I'll put it up here. Anyway, we were facing the plaza, and I was looking at the people there, and they were all looking past us to where the World Trade Center was. And all of a sudden, everybody in the plaza turned around and started running the other way. And like 2 seconds after they started running, this huge cloud of dirt and dust just descended on the plaza. It must have been 6 stories high. It fell and enveloped the entire plaza. And 2 seconds after that, everything in the office went dark because this cloud had just blotted out the sun completely. To make matters worse, they were doing some construction on my floor, so the dust was getting into the ventilating system, and so it was making it hard for us to breathe. Not only were we in the dark, we couldn't breathe. There were other things that happened that day. I spent hours in that building until after the second tower collapsed. Then I had to walk the length of Manhattan to find transportation home. I had to find a boat that would take me across the river to New Jersey. And then I got drenched with fire hoses to get the dirt and the dust off me before they'd let me into New Jersey. But I'm not used to talking this long, and I think I'd better leave the rest of it for another video. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and hopefully I'll be talking to you again soon. Incidentally, if this video seemed a little rushed, it's because my first shot at this recording took 436 megabytes. Somebody please send me the secret of making long videos without a lot of megabytes. Anyway, thanks for listening, and bye for now.